Hello, my name is Kimberly Busch. I'm the president of the board of directors for the Orchestra of Northern New York, and I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing our former president, Mr. Tim Savage. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
You have been involved with the orchestra for over 16 years, 9 as president. I'm not sure I can do the same, but anyways, I'm sure you have witnessed a lot of changes of the orchestra during that time. What are some of the changes you've seen in the orchestra?
Well, each and every year has been an attempt to maintain quality while developing a process that is a little more manageable, because the orchestra has done an awful lot with an awful little for a long time, and by that I mean a symphonic orchestra and all that that entails in terms of season preparation, realization of high quality concerts is a really labor intensive and time intensive and financially intensive process. And thanks to the good graces of our donors and our audience, we have been able to make ends meet for these 33 years. And I guess the biggest change would be that we're continuing to mature in our way to manage that at the board level.
Right. Since ONNY is almost 33 years young, to what do you attribute its longevity?
First and foremost, it's the creative genius and energy of our music director, Maestro Kenneth Andrews. He started it in 1998, sheer will and an ability to attract the best possible artists in and outside of the area, and has sustained a level of quality that is just hard to imagine anyone having done that. But that would be the main reason that the orchestra has had the run that it has had. Beyond that, we've had a great number of good people with a variety of talents and a passion in their own way to do what needs to be done to make the orchestra business take care of.
Yeah. Definitely two different sides between the business and the artistry.
Absolutely.
What were your greatest challenges as the ONNY president? Maybe any words of advice for a new president?
You just stated, I think, the greatest challenge, and again, it stems right from what thoughts and feelings Ken has, and that is balancing artistic intent with the financial realities. And we've had some very, very interesting conversations over the years on how are we actually going to do that. And that continues to be an ongoing challenge, you know, and in not just our orchestra, but in orchestras all around the world. The very biggest and best in the world struggle with that to some degree. As far as specific challenges, I would cite the spring and summer of 2014, when we were without a business manager. We interviewed for that position in May, found a good candidate who unfortunately took another position with another firm, and that left us without a business manager for the summer of 2014. So it was a real learning curve for those of us that could, to stretch out our skill set and our awareness of what needs to happen to keep an orchestra on the rails. Things like relationships with the New York State Council on the Arts and so on. I would say at this point that the trust that they maintained with us during that time, and I want to also say the Northern New York Community Foundation and Executive Director Randy Richardson, also with the regular communication, continued to have the faith in us, and we had the great fortune of finding the most capable executive director we could have in August of 2014, and we are so pleased that Kathy Del Giudice joined us at that time and has stayed with us for that period of time, because it has helped in many, many ways.
Well, I know this is your interview, but I just need to say, knowing that Kathy DelGiudice is our executive director definitely inspires confidence in me to be able to do what I need to do as president of the board of directors. Both Kathy and Kenneth Andrews as our music director are amazing.
Yep.
Just amazing at what they do. I wondered if you would share which accomplishments you're most proud of in those 16 plus years being associated with the orchestra.
It's interesting that actually coincides with the greatest challenges, and I think that building relationships has been vital to our survival. And again, Randy Richardson's faith in us, Tom and Mabel Walker, the Watertown Advisory Committee as a kind of an outgrowth of their interest and support, First Presbyterian Church in Watertown, and all of the staff there, Episcopal Church in Watertown, and the wonderful relationship that we maintain with the Crane School of Music in SUNY Potsdam. For without their partnership with us, we wouldn't be in existence today. So multiple deans throughout the years, but I want to cite specifically the now just ended at the end of June, Michael Sitton has been a great friend of the orchestra and has actually served on our board in a most effective way the last 3 years. And people like Sal Kania, who help us to understand fundraising and arts and fundraising and the articulation and the cooperation that can occur when the relationships are intact with an entity like ours and institutions like SUNY Potsdam.
Great. You were president this past March when COVID-19 struck the country. What impact did it have on the orchestra, and what was the board's response?
It was a halt. It was a sudden stop, as it occurred for so many of us. And we had to, as people know, cancel the second half of our season, 3 concert pairs. And of course, that changes the financial makeup significantly without ticket sales and so on. The balancing factor financially there is we didn't have the musicians to pay. And thankfully, they are loyal enough to understand why that was the case and supported us so that we can take a look at the future and retool for the present situations while keeping a vision on the horizon for a day when we can return to the concert hall. I again would cite Michael Sitton as his closing words as he was leaving the board at the end of June was of the most complimentary sort for our board. He was just very pleased with the amount of energy and the coordinated effort that occurred shortly after the full stop. There was a real surge of energy and intellectual sharing about what can we do to survive. And so he was impressed with that. And again, I think it's worth saying that Kathy DelGiudice going full-time as executive director made a huge difference for us, because not only did she go full-time, but she put all of us on full-time, and it has made a difference for our orchestra. We have a view of the future that is as bright as it possibly can be under these circumstances. Fantastic.
Finally, any words of wisdom for the incoming?
Well, you're here.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
but I would
late.
say that for those that don't know, you and I have worked together for just about 20 years at Canton Central School. On either sides of the choral and instrumental wall in the high school, we have worked very closely together. I think when you do a school musical, there's probably no closer working relationship than when you turn the show over for the pit conductor, because it takes an awful lot of trust. And you and I over the years have not always agreed, but we've always worked hard to give our students the very best experience that we can, and we've always worked out any differences with the kids in mind. And with knowing that, my only advice is to keep doing what you're doing, because you are a very bright, very personable person, and you work incredibly hard. Your ability to build team is just fantastic, and you lead by example. So I wish you the very best of luck, and I know that we're in very, very good hands.
Thank you. I just hope I can live up to that kind of praise. So I will continue to work my hardest, and I just have to say that there's no other pit conductor I would rather work with. You're fantastic. You're great to work with, and it's been a pleasure. And it feels like one of us is not going to do this anymore, but that's not true, right? Because neither one of us are retiring from Canton anytime soon. And hopefully, once the pandemic is over, we still have musicals to do, my friend.
Yes, we do.
Thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Kimberly.